Hi, this is Heidi, episode 57, 3 Easy Ways to Change Your Focus. Life isn't a spectator sport. Success comes to those who show up every day with a pocket full of courage, grit, and a little sparkle. I'm glad you're here. Hello. Happy September. Happy back to school for most of us. It doesn't feel like September yet since my kids, they are actually not in school yet. It is a fall like no other, but we are still making lemonade out of lemons. I hope you are too. It's a year for all of us to really practice how we feel uncertainty and even insecurity. I was being coached by my own coach, and she asked me, what are you avoiding by staying busy and pushing forward through some of your emotions? I didn't get it at first, and she had to show me by saying, no, don't do more. Get good at just feeling insecurity. Just feel insecure in that situation. It isn't a problem. It was just what I needed to hear, and I couldn't see it. It was a revelation again at why we need people outside of our heads helping us manage our thoughts and emotions. Okay, I'm excited for this episode. Today, I'm explaining in detail a tool I use in my 5 clarifying lens method with clients. The foundation principle of this method is that we can't see other people or situations clearly when we're looking through a cloudy lens or have blinders on to see what is really going on. For deeper insight and explanations of the method in each lens, you can listen to episodes 38 through 43 of the podcast. Now, one of the ways I help clients refocus and clear off their lenses is by adding very simple phrases or words to their thoughts, which then change the meaning. They immediately can get some clarifying. They can see a little clearer their own life. They can shake loose some of the grime on what they think is so true. Now, the first tool to refocus and see others more clearly is to add the phrase, just like me, at the end of our sentence. It's usually a critical sentence. Often clients come with stories of how unmotivated their teens seem, how much they like to sleep, they just can't seem to understand why they can't get their schoolwork done. They list out their complaints. Then I have them go through each one saying, okay, just like me, at the end of this sentence. My kids procrastinate all of their chores, just like me. So we do this compassionately and curiously, but we then find ways that we don't always jump up and do all of our chores. And all of us can identify things that we put off doing at home. So in small ways, we can understand why our kids procrastinate, why anyone does, because we do it too. Now, when we get irritated and mad at the person who cuts us off on the road, just relax and say, they're in a hurry, just like me. They were so rude and cut me off, just like me. Are there times that we've had to push into another lane at the last minute? I know I have. So just saying that to ourselves immediately lessens the tension and judgment we have in our body towards some stranger. It changes the energy and emotion we take with us wherever we're going. Noticing how everyone else is just like me humbles us and allows us more human connection instead of judgment. Now, I hear a lot, my child isn't applying themselves, isn't working up to their potential. Now, as parents, we think it's a good thing to always be pushing and cajoling and bribing and encouraging our children to apply themselves. And all this can be good in right doses. Earlier this summer, I felt myself getting really worked up and negative about how little my children were trying to do their spring remote learning, which kind of was a joke. I had to remind myself a lot. They are trying to do the bare minimum, just like me. So I'm not usually a bare minimum girl, but I had to remind myself of a few instances where I actually do the bare minimum. I look for shortcuts everywhere. I personally don't try to cut out meaningful ways, but I can commiserate and see how similar I can be to my children wanting to do the minimum. It took the edge off of my interactions with them and judgment. I was much more understanding and I spoke much differently to them. Again, this wasn't an excuse or to let them off the hook for the work that they had to do, but I suddenly dropped the judgment from the lens that I was seeing them with. I saw myself much more like them than different from them. Now, a few months ago, my husband and I saw that one of our children was spending money on a few things that we considered super useless or kind of like a huge waste of money. We were all caught up in the judgment until I said, well, he's wasting money just like me. I would have bought things just like that as a teenager. And even now, I can easily rattle off many things I buy that other people think are a waste. No one needs as many bags or baskets as I have. I waste money on diet soda. I waste money on nice exercise clothes. I waste money on much more. Now, I don't actually think it's a waste. It's just that I have enough awareness of my own behaviors to see how other people would judge it. And seeing how I'm much more like my wasteful teen, it clears up a critical lens and I can find much more connection and understanding. When I first started this thought work in coaching, I remember seeing how when I think other people are very judgmental, I am the one who becomes judgmental because I'm judging them for judging. Now, we have brains that do need to make judgment calls. It's just that there are times that I'd be with friends and then I'd come home ruminating for way too long and feeling so negative that I didn't like their judgment of other people and how I didn't think they should be judging. I then added this phrase and I owned my own judging. I would consciously make myself think they are judging just like me. And then I'd note areas in which I judge, even if I kind of didn't want to even own up to it. I'd then realize, okay, I don't have to feel negative or even have an opinion about what other people are doing unless I want to. I can own that they're judging. I sometimes judge. I'm not superior to them. We're all more alike than different. In fact, I don't even know why other people would judge, and they might have a really good reason. So just adding just like me to the sentence took blinders off my eyes and my mind. It opened up new awareness and understanding and compassion for people that I do actually really want to have positive emotions about. And by doing that work, I found new solutions of how I want to show up and act when I'm in those situations. I didn't want to create distance from others, which is totally what judgment does. It's the giant hammer in any relationship. And adding just like me to our thoughts is the quickest way to put the hammer down. So just start adding just like me, even to the really, really hard people, the ways in which you really feel that you are not like that person. Make your brain find the ways that you are like them. The goal is just to build thoughts that connect you versus separating you from others. Okay, the second simple tool I have for you is incredibly useful when you find yourself always thinking that you're right, which is lens one, or having a super strong belief or feeling just so sure of something that's causing you pain. So what you do is you add the word maybe after all of your I am right sentences. My son has been diagnosed with autism and he won't have a normal life or get married. Maybe. These are all examples I've heard. Another example. The only way for my kids to get into a good college is to have very high grades. Maybe. Possibly. Lots of other ways, though. We're fed all these absolutes of what children need to get into colleges. Sure, grades are part of it. By answering our thoughts and stubborn beliefs about what kids need to get into college with a big maybe, our stress and anxiety lessens a bit and allows us to start to clear up how we see the whole process. And guess what? It could be true, but also it might not be true. One client felt her child would never be able to manage his own depression medication and would always be dependent on her. We kept on exploring how we could answer this thought that played through her mind incessantly with maybe. Sure, he may always need support with his medication, or maybe not. Her mind was so made up that only one thing could be true, that she just couldn't see it any other way. After a session of answering maybe and maybe not, to these and making her find ways in which she could be wrong, she really started to see other solutions and possibilities for her child. Her anxiety and stress reduced significantly as she started answering her own brain back with maybe. Okay, another example. This pandemic is going to have devastating effects on the economy. Maybe. I see that headline all the time online. It just doesn't represent reality, and it creates so much needless anxiety and stress, which we just don't need more of now. Adding maybe and allowing that possibly maybe we're wrong with our opinions and declarations is only going to increase our connection with other people. It's fun to add maybe to the end of every newspaper or news website headline. See how that alters the emotion in your body. Now listen to these opinions, more of them that I've heard over the last few weeks. Massachusetts is the best state to live in. Maybe. The best security for your future is to get a union job with a pension. Maybe. My children are not going to learn as much in school this year with remote learning. Maybe. For all of these, the next phrase is in maybe not. Turns out we don't know everything. Our brains want to know everything. They want to always be right. But staying with that default blinder on our mental vision really blocks so many other possibilities, solutions, and respect that our way isn't the only way. Many of our anxieties and worries can be lessened. Some of the weight is taken away with just that simple word, maybe. If I get COVID, I'll have to go to the hospital and no one will be able to watch my children. Maybe. Possibly not. This is such an important exercise when our current opinions, judgments, and sense of superiority is creating walls between us and other people. Okay, the third phrase and tool to use and put in front of many firmly held thoughts is, I don't know. Our brains really think they know. Our brains don't like unfinished stories, so they finish stories usually in negative ways. If our brains don't have information, they fill them in with negative details. And all of this hurts us, you guys. If left unmanaged, all of it adds stress, anxiety, dirty pain, and insecurity to our life. Now, using this phrase means we really have to sink into being okay feeling uncomfortable, sitting with uncertainty, really feeling what living with faith is going to feel like. I don't know if I will get COVID, and if I do, I don't know how my body will react. I don't know if I'll find another job this year in the same industry. I don't know how the economy will react or what the stock market will do next year. I don't know if my child is vaping or smoking or drinking with their friends. I don't know if I'll have enough money saved at retirement. See, our brains want to collect data and information from everything it observes and hears all day. It then wants to create possible outcomes to protect us from any possible future pain. The problem is we end up feeling bad today when there really is no problem today. What right now is causing your stress and worry about the future, write it all down. Then make your brain acknowledge that it doesn't know a lot of things. And if you want to finish the story in your mind, give as much airtime to an incredibly positive outcome, not just the negative outcomes. I don't know what effect cell phones and so much screen time will have on my children's brain and their future. I don't know how long my spouse or I will be unemployed. I don't know the outcome of the election in 2 months, and I don't know how either outcome will affect our nation and the world. Lots of people want to know, they think they know, but in reality, we don't know. Lots of people falsely assume uncertainty creates anxiety. In reality, all of our future is uncertain. It always has been. It's just our brains created certainty using past behavior patterns. Our brains can either still create certainty for our future, or they can be okay just allowing that they don't know and that not knowing is okay. Remember, so far, our track record for getting through bad days and catastrophes is 100%. That's a pretty good chance that we're going to be able to get through the next bad spot in our life. So I challenge you to start adding these words and phrases to your thoughts. As simple as they are, the results can be profound if you do it regularly, repeatedly, every day. Do it when you're driving, when you're frustrated with strangers, when you're in meetings that feel so critical, when you're upset with your family, anytime. Notice the small ways in which you feel right and justified. Notice the all or nothing thinking that you have. These phrases help lessen that mentality. It can start to be fun to be wrong or to find ways in which we are right for us and another person is right for them. It's fun to feel more understanding instead of judgment. Humility and connection feel better than pride and separation. Okay, that's it for today. Have you been listening and you know these tools can help you? What are you waiting for? Sign up for a free consult call at HeidiBenjaminson.com. Do it now and model for your children. Learn to manage your emotions now. Let them see you learning and growing just as they are. You've always hired coaches for them. Now it's time for you to have a coach, and I'd be honored to be yours. Have a great week.